Well, why am I wearing a hoodie in 80-degree Florida weather? Well, I got two options. I can run the heat or the air conditioning stuck on high. Well, you know which one I chose. I chose the air conditioning. Hey, join us today as we diagnose this Polar pickup truck today on Tech Garage.
Hey there, welcome to another edition of Tech Garage presented by rockauto.com. We brought this Toyota truck in because it was blowing high on the air conditioning. Now, John, I don't mind that at all. That's the way I run it all the time. I didn't know there were any other settings, but I'm sure that means there was something wrong here with our system, and we want to take a look at that because that's not going to last very long if you're just running it on turbo the entire time.
Yeah, you got that right. And you know what? This is a pretty small cab pickup truck. I lost the jacket now, but you can get pretty cold in there. These Toyotas blow really, really cold. So high, stuck on high is not going to work. Better than the heat, though. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely, no doubt about that. So what's our plan of attack here?
Well, what we did is we actually know it's something to do with the blower motor resistor. So the best thing we can do is go over the evolution of blower motors. And it all started right here with the old school blower motor. Now, you've seen this before on Tech Garage. We actually have it on one of our demos. And what happens is the electricity comes in and it goes through these resistors. And as it goes through these resistors, it actually drops voltage. So for example, Dave, if I started up with 12, that would go straight to the blower motor. I'd bypass this. That's what we're having here, kind of on high. We're not really concerned with this. So I'm leaning towards one of these, but this would drop it down to about 8. It would go a little slower. If I go through 2 of them, I may drop it down to like 5 or 6. That would go even slower. If we went through all 3 of them, we may drop down to 2 or 3. I don't know what the voltage is, but we did it last year. You looked at it with the voltmeter, and what happened is it starts going very, very slow. We're dropping all that voltage. Well, it gets hot when it does that. That's the old school.
The system has evolved since then.
It sure has, and this is a new one here. This is just basically a computer chip with a big heat sink. So what's happening here, this is pulse width modulation. So think about the blower motors on high. Once again, we can bypass this. I'm not worried about it. But if we switch to the other speeds, let's just say, for example, 50% was medium, that blower motor would go vroom, vroom, vroom. You don't know it, but it's just pulse width modulating, and that would be medium. Maybe 20% on, 80% off would be low. I don't know what it is, but that would do it. Now yours, on the other hand,
yes, sir.
Yours looks just like that.
Yeah, and this is just a newer version of what we just saw there with the resistors. Everything is basically on a giant chip, and it all runs through that, but that creates a lot of heat and a lot of voltage. So that's where the problem could lie, especially with the connectors. So we should take a look and see if that's our problem.
Yeah, that's exactly it. The problem with this is, Dave, it's under the dash. I mean, like really up under the dash. And
yeah, you're a pretty big guy, so it's good. Yeah. I think you can do it, though.
No, I said it's under the dash. I need somebody your size to get up under there. I'll tell you what, why don't you take a peek and tell me what's going on?
I knew this was going to happen, John, so I'm actually ahead of you here. I already took the glove compartment out, and that's really, it's still going to be hard for me to get to, but that's so you can kind of see where this is oriented now. And the connector's way up here in the back, so let's see if we can wrestle that out of there. There we go. All right, so yeah, there's the female side. John, you can look and see that this is a little bit burnt. That could be indicative of a problem there.
Yeah, it's probably a problem, but you know, Dave, here at Tech Garage, we're always want to read a schematic. We want to make sure we got power going to it. We don't want to do any shotgun repairs.
Yes, sir.
And
I have one of those.
Man, you cheated. You're way ahead of me.
Yes, sir.
And by the way, you pulled out the glove box. You don't even have to get upside down.
And by the way, we should mention that if rockauto.com does sell both sides of the connector, the male and the female, to make sure that if you have to replace it, you're going to get a perfect connection.
And that's good, because this could be a problem failure, especially with these cars. But hey, I'll tell you what, let's at least, we know strategy-based diagnosing, we know that we have at least 12 volts going down to the system. How do we know that? Well, it's blowing on high. It wouldn't do that. So we also know our blower motor's running. That's working because we have high. We also know our fuse is good because we have high. I like to look at components that are good to find components that are bad. So Dave, if you just switch it over there to, like, let's go on low. That should feed down a blue and white wire.
You got the key on there, so
there
we'll go
you go.
low.
Yep, turn the key. Turn it all the way on. One more click, I think.
One more click?
Yep, one more click. We'll get it all the way on. There we go.
Right, there we go. Okay.
Now we got power going down to it. So what we're going to do is you go to the blue and white, and I'll cheat with you. I'll show you how to do that.
We need to find a ground, too.
Ooh, good one.
Yeah, we got the alligator clip here. Look, John, I found metal on a modern car. That's hard to do.
There's a first.
Yeah.
Thank God it's not a Corvette.
We'd be in big trouble.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so if you hold that connector view and you orientate that with the clip up, Dave, clip up,
yes,
it should be the second one from the left. You should have a blue and a white wire.
And I'm set to volts.
There you go. You got the meter set to volts, and hopefully we're pumping 12 volts there.
And that is, yeah,
Bam.
11.9, we're right at 12, yeah.
11.9.212, that's good. So
enough.
that's telling us we're not feeding anything through that chip itself. Now, I'm a gambling man, so, you know, with that burnt connector and the chip being under there, I would just go ahead, let's replace it. I'll go get a demo set up with Josh. I'll show how everything works under there because you can't see anything, but hey, good luck, my friend.
Well, an easy way to get to this is actually to use your phone as a camera here, and I've got it on selfie mode, and I can look up underneath here and I can see where this is situated. And as I look, I can see where the bolts are. I did cheat a little bit, look in a manual, and found out these are 5.5 millimeter bolts. So there's 2 of those. You're just gonna run those down, and we will switch out the connectors and we'll be all set. So we're gonna go to break. When we come back though, John and Josh are gonna explain how this entire system works. We'll be right back with more Tech Garage presented by RockAuto.com. Tech Garage, presented by RockAuto.com, is brought to you by NH Oil Undercoating, the official oil-based rust prevention system. Clamp Tight, the clamp-making tool. And by RockAuto.com, all the parts your car will ever need.
Well, welcome back to Tech Garage, presented by RockAuto.com. Now, I have the exact connector and I have the circuit board that Dave took out of that pickup truck, and you can see right here, it's burnt to smithereens, man. It wasn't conducting any electricity. And our board right here, it's actually got some burns in itself. So what's going on? Well, it's too much amp draw. Well, no worries, Rock Auto has us covered. They sell a whole kit, and that's pretty neat because if I put this back together, I don't want to do the job twice. So the kit here comes with the wire harness with the big wires on it, also comes with the new circuit board, and voila, you actually got the butt connectors, which makes it real nice because we know how important good wire practices are here at Tech Garage. And you can take a look at this graphic right here. You can do a pigtail, T-type, Western Union, but the key is to use the tools and do them right. We have all the different tools here that you can solder with, and make sure you use the shrink wrap and rosin core solder when you're doing it. Now, what was Dave looking at? Well, this is pretty cool because we got the board right here. And if I take this right here, this is the blower motor. And what's happening with the blower motor is it's actually blowing over the resistor. Here's where Dave's resistor was. Now remember, this is upside down. He was laying up under the dash doing it, but there it is right there. So number one, the blower motor is going over it, trying to keep it cool, even though there was a big amp draw, because it is a resistor. He was under there with those 2 bolts. Here's his connector. He unbolted it, took it out, and just replaced it. Really nothing to it. And you can see this case duct system. And what a case duct system does, it basically just takes the air, routes it through the system, and puts it out where you want it. Either you want heat or you want air conditioning. And you have an evaporator and you got a heater core, but that chip's in there to do that. Now that chip is a little different. Josh, help me out. Talk about pulse width modulation a little bit.
Yeah, a lot of places actually call this a blower control module. And what that does is it just applies voltage at a specified rate. What I like to do is I like to use an analogy like a merry-go-round. And as I'm pushing my kids around on the merry-go-round, if I just give it a little push every once in a while, it spins slow. But if I really want to try to sling them off, I increase my pulse, and I go around and around and around, and it flies off.
Stop it, I'm getting sick. Not too fast. Now, on case duct systems, Josh, this is old school, so if you help me out, we can flip this over here, and we'll get it flipped over, and then I'll also spin it around here. And what we can do, I think I got a vacuum pump in the drawer located right here. What it is, it's vacuum actuated. So if I take this vacuum pump and I hook it up right here, you can see this is a vacuum actuator, and when I hook it up, Josh, if you'd be so kind as to give me some vacuum right here, I think we can go ahead, there it is, and then if I release it, bam, there it goes. One more time. Nice, so we're actually opening and closing the door just like that with vacuum. Now here's a tech tip for you. If your air conditioning's blowing on defrost, which a lot of people have, you're probably losing some kind of vacuum. Now it could be source vacuum coming into the case all the way from your motor, or it could just be one of these actuators are leaking. Now an old school trick, we used to take this control head and we would pinch these lines one at a time. And when the doors switched, we knew one of these lines were leaking, Josh. Now on the other hand, let's get into some high-tech stuff, man. You're all about electronic air conditioning. That's vacuum actuated. This one right here, controlled all different, man. This is an automatic AC system, and I have an electronic actuator here, a lot different.
It is, and they start off with 2 wire, so all they would do is they would have polarity in one direction, and the door would open that way. But then they just reverse the polarity, and it goes the other way. So that's just 2 wires, but now they're up to 5 wires. Still the same one way or the other actuation, but now the computer's able to actually monitor it with the 3 wires and see exactly which position that door's in, and it can just stop it right wherever it wants to.
That's cool. So I got a car like my wife, she's over there freezing to death, and I'm sitting over here sweating, so I can actually blend that AC. I can stop that door halfway, get me some heat and air for her, and I can get full air conditioning, close that joker, and whew, there I go. I'm nice and cold.
It's nice to have duals on in that situation. She can be nice and warm, and you can stay nice and cool.
And the diagnostics pretty much the same, or are you going to need a computer?
A computer. It's going to tell exactly where that door needs to be. If you want it 69 degrees or 72 degrees, it's going to have preset values to know exactly what position to have those doors in to get you at your optimum temperature.
Well, there you go. Whether you have electronic air conditioning or old school air conditioning, it's still going to work the same. It's the same principle. The ductwork, the doors, the flow, and you definitely need that resistor block. Speaking of that resistor block, Dave's underway over there. Let's check in with him.
We've got the connectors done on both sides, and only one thing to do, and that is to click this into place. And there it is. It sounded great. All right, we'll grab the key here, turn it on. We know the blower ran in high before and only high, so we'll try it on low. Okay, hear the fan running. That's good news. Hey, it's going up here as we go to medium, medium high, and high. We've got all the positions. That means we got the problem solved. I love it when a plan comes together. When we return, John Gardner is going to be doing a little Garage Ed talking suspension. That's when Tech Garage, presented by RockAuto.com, returns.
Welcome back to Tech Garage, presented by RockAuto.com. Well, it's Garage Ed, and in this segment, we're going to talk about active suspension systems. That's all the computer stuff that makes that thing adjust to any kind of road changes. Now, what's the difference? Passive system, that's just all the mechanical system. It doesn't adapt to any changes. Now, active is really cool. Check this out. You got all these different sensors, lateral acceleration sensors, yaw rate, all kinds of things going on, leveling sensors, longitudinal acceleration sensors. And what happens is it's kind of like a skier. You know, their knees bounce when they're going down the hill like that. The car is going to actually do that. It's going to do it electronically, and I can show you how. This is pretty cool. We talked about this on a prior episode. It's called the MR ride, or the magnetorheological ride. I know that's a big word, but this is pretty cool. It's all electronic suspension. You see it a lot called Magna Ride on GM cars. You can see the actual wire coming into the shock right there because it's electronic. Electronic how? It actually dampens the ride. How does it do it? Electronically. We said it's an active system. So what's going on is I have some MR fluid right here. Check this out. So what's happening is it's real thick. So if it's real thick like this, you can see it's pretty thick. What's happening is it's actually got a big stiff ride because it can't flow through the orifices. Now on the other hand, this is so cool. Check this out. When I dump it out like that, I get away from the magnet. We turn the electricity off. This is a speaker under there which has a magnet on it. So once that goes away, it thins up. And once it gets thin, the viscosity changes. It's allowed to go through the orifices. Then you get that cushiony, soft ride. Now, how does it work? Well, you got all these different height sensings, all kinds of things we just saw on the screen. You can actually have air ride as well with an air pump that's going to do the same thing. But you know what? When you're dealing with this stuff, with the active suspension systems, you could scan it and get a code. So we had to go with the big gun. We went with the Continental Auto Diagnose Pro, and we hooked it up there wirelessly, and it's actually feeding to the laptop. Dave, what'd you find?
Well, we got a code that was a mouthful. I won't read off the whole code, but another red flag is the active damping suspension system. It was in full firm mode, so you don't get the cushy ride anymore. It's all stiff, so that's something you'll notice when you're having an issue. Also, on your control panel, you'll see service ADS, so you get that little code there, and again, 2 red flags to show you. And if you need to make a fix, we have a schematic, fortunately, for this vehicle, and that's going to help us out.
Yeah, key number 1, any strategy-based diagnosis, pull a schematic, and there it is. This one, really not much to it because it's all cans bust, Dave. You can see right there, you actually have all the modules going down the right-hand side. We're dealing with the ADCM module right there. It's highlighted in yellow. 2 communication lines talking back and forth. Make sure it's communicating. Ours seems to be communicating, so then you would check for a TSB. That's a technical service bulletin. Kind of little quirks that dealers have and they put out there where you can see, you can find them online. If you have a TSB, a technical service bulletin, follow that because that's how you want to fix it. Ours doesn't have it, so we have to carry on. What's next?
Yeah, you look at the schematic, make the fixes, and then you run a test. And if the test works, that means you're up and running. If it's still an intermittent problem, there's nothing you can really do to fix it because you can't replicate it.
Right,
So you
can't
gotta-
fix it if it's not broke.
And maybe wait till it gets worse and try it again, I guess so. And if you can't fix it, of course, you need to replace your ADCM.
Yeah, just that easy. So you're dealing with active suspension. It's going to be some kind of computer-related problem, but it's a little more difficult than the passive system, but you can handle it. Hey, stick around. We're going to light up your life. Right, Dave?
Really?
Yeah. More Tech Garage coming right after this break. We'll be back with the MTTT.
Tech Garage, presented by RockAuto.com, is brought to you by Magic Creeper, the most versatile creeper ever. AP Laser, leading the way. And by RockAuto.com, all the parts your car will ever need.
Welcome back to Tech Garage, presented by RockAuto.com. It's hashtag MTTT time. That's the Master Technician's Tech Tip, and it's all about headlights. That's a safety issue, man, you want to see, and other people want to see you. So we're going to give you some tips that'll help you with your headlight system. Let's actually go over the evolution of headlights. You can see right here we have the old seal beam headlight. Well, you know, that was in the cars in the back. You just plug it in and you're good to go. No worries there. Then we went to these incandescent bulbs. You can see here the old Tangs. You guys remember this one for sure. The offset tangs, don't put it in backwards. If they're equal, just make sure you're putting it in the right way. Then we stepped it up to these halogen right here. That's actually what our Mustang employs, is the halogen headlights. Couple tips here, you definitely don't want to touch the bulb. You don't want to get your finger oils on that bulb or you're going to shorten the life of it. Now, RockAuto.com sent us these actual Wagner TrueView. This is actually going to brighten up a lot brighter than the normal headlight on our Mustang. Then some of the cars today have HID, high intensity discharge. That's really cool because that's located right here. Now the neat part about this, you got this huge arc tube that goes over and creates a ginormous spark and then gets it lit. Then it doesn't take much electricity to burn once it's lit. Now let's head over to the Mustang here. You can see every car is a little bit different. You may have to go in the back and take some bolts apart. This one's really, really simple. There's just two clips here. So if I grab these clips and I slide them out, this is called a composite headlamp. Now what I can do here is just kind of wiggle it and fight with it. It's not going to be easy, but see if I can get it out of here. There it goes, okay. Got a couple plugs back here, electrical plug here, and one on the side. Other than that, voila, it comes right out. That's nice. Now notice the back part of it. Now this is a halogen bulb, and because it's a halogen bulb, you don't want to touch the bulb element itself. So what I'm going to do is just take the plastic off, twist it around, and pop it off. That's the retainer ring right there. Now the bulb, a lot of them just come in there and pop in there like this one, or you may have to put it in and twist and lock it. It just depends on your make and model. Now there's our halogen bulb. So don't touch the element right there. Just replace it, put the new bulb in, put your ring back on, reverse the procedure. It's just that easy. That's going to make sure you're safe, people can see you, and you can see down the road. Now, if you really want to step it up, Tom and Dave have some LEDs to look at.
Throughout the history of the automobile, we're used to changing headlights and taillights by pulling off the cover and changing the bulb. But Tom, headlights have evolved. How have they changed through just really recently?
Yeah, in the last 5 or 6 years, started with the luxury brands, and now it's kind of moving to everything. Manufacturers are switching from a separate incandescent bulb that you replace individually to LEDs that are built into the headlamp assembly. So at RockAuto.com, instead of looking under bulbs, you look under body for the whole headlamp assembly. The good news is that so far they don't seem to be burning out. People are replacing the entire assembly because they've been in a wreck and damaged it. Maybe eventually they'll start discoloring from the sun and need to be replaced for that reason. But you know, so far the LEDs are holding up.
Very cool. And it's not just these assemblies that you have at RockAuto.com. Also, if you have an older vehicle that does take bulbs, like back in the old days, 6 or 7 years ago, you guys can cover us there too with LEDs.
Yeah, that you can get LED lights for your dash lights, for your backup light, brake lights, the license plate light, you name it. And they offer the advantage of being cooler and drawing less current and lasting a lot longer. So they can be easier on old wiring, not drawing as much current. If you take your dash apart to replace a bulb, you don't have to do it again, probably in your lifespan, hopefully. Or, I don't say it that way. Hopefully you don't have to do it for a long time. And they just make the vehicles look cool. Everything from little bulbs to the headlamps you can replace with LED.
Well, from headlights to taillights and everything in between, RockAuto.com has you covered.
Well, the AC's blowing ice cold, but once again, Dave left me hanging. I had to put the whole glove box back together. Dave, come on, man.
Are your white gloves dirty there, sir?
Yeah, I got a little bit dirty, but hey, great
sorry
job
about that.
today, you know. And it's awesome filming here at Chipola College Tech Garage because we got an abundance of cars. I mean, this is actually Jamie. He's a director down at the Public Service Department, and they train our men in blue, man. We love them.
It's very cool to take care of the people that take care of us.
Absolutely, and I hope you all had a good time today. I know we did. It was suspension was all about electronic suspension. A lot of things going electronic. We talked about, you know, you light up my life.
Oh, John, I'm pretty sure this it's copyrighted, but I don't think they're going to recognize it the way you sang it.
Yeah, well, we lit up Tech Garage. During the MTTT, we did all the lighting and bulbs, and then bam, here we are with another one. Another win, Dave.
And speaking of technology here, we learned how the blower unit on an air conditioning system, heater system, used to run with resistors like this, and then it's evolved into a chip like we had in our vehicle here in the Toyota. And then there's this whole computer command control that is the latest and greatest. You see the giant heatsink on there. The evolution from this to this is just remarkable.
The evolution of cars, man. I mean, computer command control, that's what Tech Garage is all about, Dave. And, you know, we have no worries. We can handle it.
You got it. We're going to do it once again next week. In the meantime, though, you can check us out on social media, see what we're up to, and send John a note and tell him how he's doing.
Yeah, all that good stuff. Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. We're out of time for this week, folks, but join us next week for more Tech Garage, Dave. I won't be needing this anymore. This is the hoodie from earlier, so
All right,
let's
there
get
you
rid of that.
go. Hey!
Great. Now what?
See you next time.
Unbelievable.